The New Covenant says God wants to write His law in our hearts. And many people claim that by trying to obey the law of God, we place ourselves under the Old Covenant. However, if God wants to write His law in our hearts, then trying to obey the law of God is not placing yourself under the Old Covenant. The Bible explains to us what was the problem with the Old Covenant. It wasn't with the law of God. The New Covenant is based upon better promises. Notice here in these three different scriptures, Exodus 19 verse 8, Exodus 24 verse 3, and 24 verse 7. This one is right before God spoke the Ten Commandments from Mount Sinai, and these two are right after. And remember, Jesus is the God who spoke the Ten Commandments, according to John 8:58 and Exodus 3. The people answered and says, "All that the Lord hath spoken, we will do." All the words which the Lord hath spoken, we will do. All that the Lord hath spoken, we will do. Israel's focus was on themselves and on their own promises to obey God. You see, Israel was terrified of the power of God, and they didn't want to be anywhere near Him. They wanted Moses to speak for God. Ephesians 2:8 says we are saved by grace, right? But it's always been that way. Ever since Adam and Eve sinned, it has always been salvation by grace. Everybody who's ever been saved has been saved under the experience of the New Covenant. Adam, saved under the New Covenant. Abraham, saved under the New Covenant. Moses, Elijah, Daniel, all righteous people who have ever been saved have been saved under the New Covenant because they allowed God to write His law in their hearts. It is not those who want to obey God because they love Him that live under the Old Covenant. It is those who claim the law was done away with who are living under the Old Covenant. The New Covenant experience is wanting God to write His law on their hearts and to walk with Him daily. The Old Covenant experience is those who claim the law was abolished, who want to keep it afar off, who don't want it in their hearts. Those who claim the law was abolished so that they can continue to sin. That is the Old Covenant experience, and if that experience is never overcome, those people will never experience salvation. This is why the Bible calls those liars who refuse to obey. Because people who claim to be living under the New Covenant but claim that the law was abolished, that is two completely antithetical ideas. They cannot coexist with each other. They cannot coexist in the same heart. If we claim to know Jesus but we claim that His law was abolished, we are nothing more than liars. And according to the Bible, the very last chapter, one of the very last verses, only those who obey God because they love Him are going to the holy city.